This is part 5 of our series regarding the so-called mandatory COVID-19 vaccination policies currently implemented in South Africa. The purpose of this part is to highlight the process or the legal process that Liberty Fighters Network is going to follow in the event that we need to protect your rights, that you are being forced or otherwise coerced in taking this vaccine. And again, referring to vaccine, it's a reference to the candidate vaccines, as explained in previous parts. Many employees, and most of the employees who have received these candidate vaccines, felt that they had no other choice. They love their work and they know that work is scarce, and they just feel that I need to do this, otherwise I'm going to get dismissed, or my employer is going to retaliate against me in one or other way, and I can't afford it. So I'm rather tempted to put my life and my safety at risk so that I can ensure that my employer keeps on employing me. This is very sad. We have reached a point in our lifetime where it's more important to earn a salary than to look at the safety and the freedoms of yourself and your family. People think that having a job with a salary gives them the necessary freedoms and the necessary happiness. But, you cannot be happy if your employer forces you to commit yourself to something that you don't feel happy about or feel safe about. Employers in general, and this is very sad further, believe that they own the employee and they can control the human rights and the body of our people. And they forget that firstly, there's a service agreement, there's an employment agreement between the employer and the employee, meaning that all the essential parts and elements applicable to a normal agreement needs to be in place to say that there is an employment agreement. The employer is merely, an employer is not the boss of an employee. The employer is there to give instructions to the employee for the services that the employee is supposed to render to the employer. That's that. It's not an agreement to say that you can do whatever you want to me. And many of these employers who have implemented so-called mandatory COVID-19 vaccination policies have done so in a way to think that they can, and they simply tell employees, as we have dealt with, that you either comply or you get another job. And the process which we are using to challenge all these human rights abuses and the discrimination is the Equality Court. We utilize the Equality Court because I have seen over the years, and I've been doing the work that I'm doing for the past 27 odd years, that the CCMA does not protect your rights of an employer, of an employee, sorry. They are there to actually serve the employer. Employers think that they can get away with forcing these policies onto the employees because even if the employee is later on dismissed because they refuse to get vaccinated, they know that, you know, the worst thing that I can go through is to go to the CCMA and maybe pay 2 or 3 months salary to this person, and even if this person has worked for me for 17 years or even more, I don't care because I'm selfish. I want all my workers, my employees must be vaccinated. They don't care at all for the employees. And I see these types of employers who are forcing their employees to commit themselves to forced vaccinations as worse than the Ku Klux Klan. They are typical extreme new liberalists who are worse than the old conservatives were. They believe that their rights are more important. They are selfish. They are their rights are more important than anyone else. And I don't care whether this employee has worked for me for decades. If I want this employee to comply, I will do everything possible, even dismiss this person to comply. So in the Equality Court, we then basically challenge the occupational detriment, which I will explain in other parts, for breach of contract. The High Court has got concurrent jurisdiction with the Labour Court when it comes to breach of contract of an employment contract. And when you challenge it on a breach of contract, it's much better than the unfair dismissal process followed in the CCMA and later on in the Labour Courts, because the quantum is much higher. So we are physically then suing the employer for breach of contract and for the outstanding period up till the age of retirement of the employee who suffered this occupational detriment. So you can calculate your annual salary that you would have received and multiply that with a 5% escalation over the period up till the age of mostly 65. You will not get that amount, unfortunately, but we guarantee that if you follow that process, you will definitely, and you are successful at the end of the day, you will receive much more money than having gone to the CCMA. So in that respect, we tell people, don't follow the CCMA route.